Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Scream Scene. I'm Jody Dean, and today we have a treat once again. Super blessed. I have Phil Falcone, producer of Joe's War, the Terrifier franchise, here with me once again. This doesn't happen too often, guys, so this is definitely a treat. Phil, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, man? Good to be here.
Man, glad to have you back. But since it wasn't that long ago since our last conversation, but so much has happened. You were in the middle of the beast that we call Terrifier 3. And you guys were heavy in production at that moment, but you weren't quite done. You were almost to the finish line. What's life like right now?
Oh God, you would think after you're done filming, it lightens up a little bit. I pray for Damien because he's got a lot on his plate. I thought my job would ease up as soon as we were done with principal photography, and I'm like, wow, it hasn't stopped. There's so much going on for post production. We have deadlines to meet this time. Whereas in Terrifier 2, we took our time. We do what we had to do. This time we have a lot of deadlines to meet to get this out for Halloween, and it's hard. It's strenuous. I think this is probably the most intense I've been since I left Wall Street. It's wild. I'll tell you, it's wild. It's nerve-wracking, but we're getting it done.
So when you were filming, what was it like filming the third movie? Was it the hardest one yet? Was it the funnest one yet?
That's a tough question. You see, in Terrifier and Terrifier 2, I was a lot more hands-on on the shooting end, handling special effects. Me and Damien did everything with the special effects, from making the prosthetics and molding and doing everything and actually working the pumps and doing all that stuff. Whereas this time we hired a team to come in and do it. And so that took some of the more fun that I have on sets away.
Right.
I got to do a little bit, very little bit of that. I got to do a little bit of set building, whereas in 1 and 2, I did a lot of building. I was only there when needed. If something was needed to be built, I built it quick. We brought on a big team this time, so it's hard giving up what you're used to doing and allowing others. But thank God we got a crew that's, they're amazing. They're just good workers and good people. And I think you'll see it on the screen. It's the production is much bigger than before. Again, it's a learning experience. It's the first time I did anything this large. And being the executive producer, whatever you want to call it, I had a lot more of the back office to do. Even though I was on set, I didn't get to enjoy the set as much as I normally do, which hurt. But like I said, learning process. I'll be better at it next time.
I get what you're saying there. So in Terrifier 2, that's what you loved, man. You love being hands-on. You love getting your hands dirty. And that's something that you missed this time. I can't imagine. People often will say, why do you do all these different jobs? You give some away. I'm like, I love to do it. I love the chaos or something about it. I can't imagine not having my hands in these. So that's what, when you were just saying that, I'm like, wow, that resonates. So is that something moving forward? You're like, hey, look, because I know you're doing your movie next, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. And are you gonna be really hands-on with that beyond the writing and directing and the producing? Like,
well, I didn't write this one. It was written by Daryl Pennington.
oh, okay.
It's called Blood Scent, and I'll be directing it. I'll be working hand in hand on special effects. I'll be building sets. I love doing that. Bill Diamond has already signed on with me to help me with the sets and do whatever's needed. It's, to me, I like the creative end much more than the business end.
Right.
I did get to do some of the creatives on Terrifier 3, just not as much as I would like. I liked being on set. And when you pulled away to do all these business, when you go bigger budget, there's so many more things involved. Whereas with a smaller budget, it's it's more family style.
Hmm.
It's not guerrilla style, but it's like a family. You have your nucleus of people that'll do 10, 15 jobs. When you do the bigger budgets, all of a sudden SAG wants, oh, you can only do this, you can only do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, which hampers you a lot and costs a lot. There's a lot of waste on a bigger budget. We did our best to bring every dollar we could to the screen, and we did a good job of it. I think people are going to be very happy with the outcome. But again, when you bring business into it rather than the creative and the fun part, it sort of tarnishes it a little bit. And then when you have, and I hate belaboring this, but when you have a group like SAG just pounding on your door constantly, it's almost like harassment. It's
Yeah.
bullying. And we're never putting anybody in danger. We're doing everything right, but they're just constantly nagging at you.
Hmm.
And when when we did Terrifier and Terrifier 2, they would never, you couldn't find these people. As soon as
Yeah.
there's money involved, they're there. It's really not right. They started off the right way, being for the people that are in their membership. But at this point, uh, when I was arguing certain things, it was like, it made no sense. It was just illogical. It was just horrible. It was all about money. And I'm like, it's
Mm.
ridiculous. So when you got to deal with all that while you're shooting, it takes you away from the creative end. And that hurt. So when I finally had enough and got a little nasty, um, I got to ease and I got to enjoy uh, the creative end of the film, and that's when it got enjoyable again. And now we're in
Yeah.
post production, which becomes business again. So it's back to the, you know,
I was gonna say it's crazy that you have to work extremely hard to get one of these films done, but then you have to work even harder to get it to be seen. You got to work hard to work harder in this world, and you got to work 10 times harder to stay there in that position that you worked hard to get to. It's wild. So how come they are so involved at this point? I know you mentioned money, and I get that. Is it because you used SAG actors in this film, or is it because it's a certain amount of money that they kind of feel like they have to step in?
um, I don't know. It just seems like it seems like they were after us from the beginning. From the first phone call we had with them, it was they were on our backs, and it just never let up. I mean, people that are in the industry 30, 40 years were saying, I never saw anything like this. No matter who we talked to, they were like, why is this going on? And I don't know what the reason is. Maybe because it was
Yeah.
an independent film that did well. I don't know. It just seemed like we had a target on our back right from the first phone call, especially when they asked if I was bringing in other unions. And I said, no, I said, it's a non-union shoot. And the reactions of the SAG members were like, or the SAG, SAG members, the reps,
Hmm.
all of them looked like, that's incredulous. I'm like, it's not happening. And
Yeah.
about the shoot, we were threatened with, you're going to get flipped, you're going to get this. And I said, no, we're not. Anybody wants to leave, they could leave, but I'm not, there's no reason to just waste money. We were paying people, we were paying them, whatever we could to
Hmm.
keep the money on the screen. It's tough to do. I'm learning that more and more as you get a bigger budget, bigger headaches. So we did our best to control the situations at hand. Um, and again, I got my complaints, and I'm sure they got theirs. But if everybody's, I always look at things and try to get things going. You want everybody pulling or pushing in the same direction.
Right.
Sometimes it's like a family. Sometimes you want to punch your brother in the face, but you don't. You love that person, so you'll
Mhm.
have your little squabble, you'll have your little argument, and you'll get over it, or you won't. But that's what makes a family. And God forbid somebody comes in and throws a wrench in that, you all turn on that person. A family
Yeah.
together. So we have that nucleus, we have that team, and then you throw this in the mix where they're trying to separate everybody, conquer and divide, or divide and conquer. They're throwing wrenches and trying to disrupt that family unity, and
Right.
it's just not right. If people are willing to do something, let them do it. Stay out of the way. Let us do the product. If we're doing something dangerous, yeah, come in and make sure everything's right. But if you're not, let it be.
Right. Yeah, and see, that's something that a lot of people wouldn't even think about. They a lot of people will see this picture, and the last thing they're going to think about art and the next big kill and this crazy, I know it's going to be so crazy. I'm so excited. But the people watching it, they're not going to know the trials and the stuff that you guys went through. It's hard enough to make a film without SAG stepping in. I've never had to experience that. Maybe I never will, but I will say this. It's hard enough to make a film just worrying about the weather and people showing up and everything flowing right. I can't imagine, man. Now I have a whole new level of respect,
Well,
for the
I could tell you this blood scent, which I'll hit on again.
Mhm.
It's going to be a much smaller budget, I'm sure. That being said, whether SAG wants to be involved or not, I don't care. They won't be. I'm going to do my best to do this as a non-SAG FICOR production. I will do my best to show them that all they're doing is hurting their people. It'll cost them about 80, 90 people's jobs in SAG. I mean, because they're forcing me to do this, I might have to take that step. I don't want to.
Mhm.
I'd like to work hand in hand, but if you're going to keep pushing people, it's just not right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With more money, in some cases, the money doesn't get on the screen. In some cases, it's not that um the bigger budget is, you said it comes with more headaches, but then you got to worry about things like that. Like everybody's all of a sudden wanting a piece of the pie. Everybody wants to be your friend. You don't know who wants to really actually be your friend, right? Um, is it in the Terrifier 1, Terrifier 2 days? Was that the moments now that you hope to stay within, to recreate those with new projects?
Um,
The energy was there.
I think there is something to be said about the smaller budgets and the smaller crews. I do. Although working with a large crew, even though it took away stuff that I was doing,
Yeah.
it does make you able to get a job done in a quicker amount of time. And some, like, listen, we had some dynamite people on our set, and with a smaller budget, we would have never been able to do that. That being said, and we could do this movie in 6 months, whereas Terrifier 2 took us almost 3 years to get it completed. It'll be done a lot quicker this time, and yes, it takes away from that. I don't know how. Listen, Terrifier and Terrifier 2 was labor of love, total hard work. Not that Terrifier 3 wasn't, but
Right.
you have 9 people killing themselves for a long amount of time, but
Hmm.
every penny is on that screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
know we spoke about that before, and that's something, man, I love about you. And I'm meeting some other filmmakers that are like that too. Like they have values in this shit. It's not like, hey guys, let's try and get some fucking money. Let's just try and build our name. Like, let's actually care about what we're putting out here, put our heart and soul. Because you didn't know that Terrifier 1 was going to be a big success.
not at all.
You didn't know that Terrifier 2 was going to be a big success, right?
No. I could tell you the line that we went through. Terrifier, I did it. I love Damien.
Mhm.
And I said, teach me special effects, we'll do it. When we were done, him and George Stuber, the DP, they were like, oh, we're gonna make a killing and this and that. And I was like, let's pray we get our money back. I said,
Yeah.
let's go from there and we'll see. But it came out nice, and it was a nice project. And when it was done, we got our money back and a little bit more. And I was like, that's pretty good. And I don't know if they were disappointed or not, but when we went to our first con, it was the first con I ever went to, and I saw people walking around with Terrifier things on them, and I'm like, what the hell? And I again, not being the horror fan that most people are in this industry or this genre, I'm looking at things and I'm going, how long is the guy with the hockey mask on? And he's telling me, and I said, holy shit! I said, we got to go bigger. I said, we got to
Mhm.
get bigger. I said, this could be something, and so after that, me and Damien sat down and we figured out we would do it for about 250,000. And when we were done with that, I said, this is the one that'll make us money.
Mhm.
Um, because it was good. It had a story. It was developed much better, and the production value was higher and all that. And like I said, every penny went on the screen. For Terrifier 3, I'd love to say all the money went on the screen. It did not. We did everything we could to put everything we could on the screen, but we had a lot more money. So
Mm-hmm.
it's still going to be a much larger production. The production value is much larger. It will look like more than what the budget is,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing that it took away from is that close knit nucleus of people working hand in hand. It was more business like. It
Yeah.
wasn't, I mean, a lot of people had fun, a lot of people got to enjoy it. On my perspective, it was more business like.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be more creative, like more fun. Um, I think a lot of people had fun on this set, and I think a lot of people worked extremely hard, extremely hard. And I think people are going to be very happy with the outcome. A lot of people poured their heart and souls into this, and those are the people we want on our team. So those
Yeah.
are the people that arrived.
Let me ask you this question. Think about this for a second. Okay.
Don't hit me with nothing hard.
Um, so a lot more money went into Terrifier 3. A lot of work. Can you say, or think about it now, if you would have used half of what you did for Terrifier 3, do you think you could have possibly still made a movie that would have the same impact as Terrifier 3 will with the bigger budget?
Half. It depends. And I don't have to think long on this. I hope I
Yeah.
say it right. Um, if you don't have to get it done in 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
yes, without a doubt, it could be done. It could be done. I'm not going to say easily.
Right.
Be like Terrifier 2. You
Mhm.
would have to put time in. It would
More
take
sweat equity and stuff like that. Yeah.
yes, yes. There are a few things like we use Christian Tinsley for our effects team. Um, Matching them is gonna would be real tough. I got
Mhm.
to tell you, they're insanely good. Um, but what you're going to see on the screen is amazing. So what I would say is yes, you could get the film maybe not exact, but you'd come close to it, very close
Mhm.
to it. It would take a lot longer
Right.
to do than what we took.
A lot more sweat equity, a lot more working for free behind the scenes. And a lot of people they don't realize, man. There's some films that spend the kind of money that you guys have that will never sell a unit. I've seen it. I was very blessed due to a larger YouTube channel I have's following. Um, when I dropped my first movie, I told the kids because I made them star in it. I didn't make them again. I didn't make them. They loved it, and now this is all they want to do. It's all we freaking talk about every single day of our lives. What are we doing next? What are we doing next? But the first movie, I told them, I said, guys, I'll be honest with you. Just because I have 250,000 followers on the big channel doesn't mean that we're going to sell 250,000 units. So we might get lucky and sell 1,000. And they were like, "Oh my god, 1,000!" Because I promised them $1 from every DVD sold because we were signing them, selling them for $20 a piece to the fans, right? And every video I would do on that channel, I drop one video, two videos a week. I would say, guys, go see Mallet, go to malletmovie.com and get this movie. And in 6 months, we sold 7,000 DVDs. Well, I ran into a gentleman that, excuse me, that told me he spent $800,000 making his first movie, and they didn't even sell 1,000 DVDs. And here I am. I probably spent 10 grand making my first movie and sold 7,000. If I didn't have the fan base, that wouldn't have happened, though. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
That's
there's
that's what it is on everything. If your fan bases doesn't show up, you're
And
done.
that's what I said in the first interview with you was like, at this point, I feel like no matter what you guys put out, I mean, people got it tattooed on them. Dude, I'm sitting over here drinking my coffee out of a Terrifier cup that I bought at the mall a few days ago. Um, at this point right now, no matter what you guys put out, I feel like it's going to sell. Is it going to sell better than the last one? I feel like you guys are in a pocket to where I could have seen this film going crazy no matter what the budget was.
I'll be honest with you. I always felt this it's hitting stride. You know, at some point in time it'll be too much, and you'll say,
Mhm,
"All right, I had enough." Hopefully that doesn't come for a while, but um, you know, it should still be progressing. The storyline is still there. The acting is there. It's like I said, it's a bigger movie than Terrifier and Terrifier 2. It should be well received, I believe. That's my opinion. You know,
mhm.
I look at what I've seen so far. I'm like, wow, this is wild, and it looks amazing. I mean, you know, it's well done. Can I promise it's going to do better than two? No. Would I think it does? I would hope so. It just means you're building, you're growing your fan base,
Mhm.
and so far the fan base has been amazing. They you know, you can't beat it. And you know me, I don't go to these things often, like the cons and everything, but when I go, my biggest joy is speaking with the fans. I get to talk to them. I get to see them face to face, people that have helped this franchise. And
I love that.
when I do go, I sit at the booth and I hang out as much as I can, and I talk to whomever I can. I like to hear what they have to say about it. It's just an amazing feeling to be doing this. And this is like, God, this is my twilight years, so to speak. And I'm like, I'm only in the industry 7 years, 8 years. So
Wow.
I'm loving it. But it was a dream of mine when I was 13.
Mhm.
And it took me 50 years for my dream to come true, but it's fucking amazing.
That's it's very inspirational too, man. It goes to show people like, dude, you got to hang on. You got to really fight for it. I know that becomes a thing where everybody's like, oh, everybody says that. It's so true. If you give up, I mean, you can't get there. You know, you got to keep working for it. I didn't get mine first one done until 39. I've been wanting to do it my entire life too. And finally, I had to do it myself because you can't wait on everybody else. You drag your feet. You know, I mean, and people will drag their feet on you, and then you have to be on their time. And there's where the issue is. You can't be on their time.
Now, listen, I hear you. I didn't do it because I wanted to raise my family, and the money was good on Wall Street, so I
Right.
did that. But I could tell you this: when it was time to do it, when I felt it was time to do it, um, when I did it, I spoke to a couple of people in the industry because I had owned a club in Manhattan, and I met a couple of people. I actually got friendly with a lot of the cast from The Sopranos, and a good friend of mine, Jeff Marchetti. Jeff, I gave you a little plug. He, I was speaking with him, and I said, "Listen, I don't normally, I don't like to ask for favors," and the actor that I had to back out from being the grandfather in the
Mhm.
movie, and I was stuck because I was about to shoot in a month. And so I called him and I said, "Listen," I said, I need an actor, an elderly gentleman." And he goes, he goes, "If you're still looking for actors, you shouldn't be shooting in a month." I said, "Listen, I'm going. I don't care." But he
Mhm.
said, "Phil, you're crazy." And I said, "I don't care if I'm crazy. I'm doing it. You know, it's been a lifetime dream. I'm doing it." And he got me a great guy, Joe Lisi, and he played the grandfather. He did a great job. And but I was told that whole time, "What are you doing?"
Mhm.
And I said, "I want to do it. It's something I always wanted to do." I said, "I wanted to act," but I said, I'm not acting. I'm out of shape. I look like shit. I'm an old man." And I went behind and I said, "All right, we got to hire a director." And you can't hire a director because if you're going to get somebody good, it's going to cost you money, which I
Yeah,
did. Um, and if you're going to get somebody bad or somebody that you don't know, might as well do it yourself. That's what I felt.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I said, "I'll direct it. I'll produce it." I didn't even know what these people did. I just knew that, you have an idea, but you don't know exactly what their job is. So on Joe's War, it was me and my partner, but I did, hold on a second, buddy. I did like, I did like 90% of the shit. And I was like, basically going to college. I
Mhm.
shouldn't say that because I had a whole team that was amazing. Our DP, Tom Agnella was fantastic. Teresa Alessio. Oh my God, Ted. There's so many people, but it felt like I had to do everything. And I was like, great, because I'm learning. I have no
Mhm.
idea what I'm doing, so I'm learning. And these people would tell me, like, you got to do this. Like, I was standing there, the first shot of the movie, I'm standing there and um, I go, all right. And they go, well, go ahead. I go, go ahead, what? And they say, roll camera. I go, roll camera. Roll sound, roll sound. So they're telling me what to do. So I go, all right. And I go, all right, action, action. And so the next set, the next take, we're all waiting again. And he goes, Phil, you got to say roll camera. I said, well, listen, you already said it. Just roll the camera. It's like difference. So I'm like doing all this too, and I'm like, wow, this is wild. And then as you go, you start picking it up. And like
Yeah.
I said, that was my college for movies.
Isn't that crazy, man? That's awesome though. I mean, and you got it done. You got a product done to give to the world, man. And then it was on to stepping in the horror genre, which is crazy. To just That's a big step from Joe's War to Terrifier. I mean, that's a whole different ball game, man. When you get to the special effects stage, that's where the crazy work's coming in, because it's not just making what pieces, the prosthetics, the props, the rigging up the blood pumps, whatever you need to do, but it's making sure that once you get that shot, that the lens is tight enough on certain things, or everybody is in sync, or else it just doesn't work, right? Like, you can't hit the
Oh, yeah.
blood pump a second later than when the person starts twitching, you know?
Yeah. Damien, you got to give props to Damien. Damien has been doing this since he was a kid,
Yeah.
and cultivating. And I could tell you that great teacher, on Terrifier, we were going through things, we were doing things, and he was telling me, do this, do this. I mean, there was a time where he goes, even on Terrifier, he goes, after I did this thing, he goes, you Vaseline that, right? And I went, oh, why? He goes, because if you didn't, you ruined the mold. And I was like, well, I didn't, man.
I
And
remember you telling me this. Yep.
it was okay, but could have been very, very different. But there's so many things. But from like, when I try to look back at what we started and Terrifier 2, like Terrifier 2, he'd go, can you make this move? And I'd go, I don't know, I never did it before, we'll figure it out. So you go through the stuff and you learn, and I've gotten okay with it.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. I do a lot. I still call, like, if I got to do something, like a couple of people asked me to do them a favor because Damien was busy, and I'd say, you're not getting Damien, you're getting me, so don't expect the world. But I'd call Damien, I got to mold this, I got to do this, I got to do this. I said, what do I use? Because I'm not going to YouTube and I'm not looking for it. He goes, you got to get this, 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 and this. And I go, all right, that's good. And then I do it. He'd give me the schematics of what I'm supposed to do, and then I'll do it. But I'm getting there. I've helped out a couple of people now, and I love it.
That's so
Phil,
cool.
could you do it? Yeah. What do you want? Don't worry about it. Just give me the stuff. Let me do it. But it's fun. I enjoy it.
I love
And
that.
that's what I want to. I want to get back to that on Blood Scent. I will handle the effects and get a team of people for the effects. My crew is, as long as they're willing, my crew will be the same, and we'll go from there.
That's awesome, man. That is too cool. It's great to hear somebody, coming from Wall Street to being super passionate about doing special effects. Special effects is a lot of fun, and honestly, the movies aren't as cool without them. I know when we spoke before on the interview, we were talking about your next movie, and at that point right there when we spoke, you said something about maybe there was going to be like two major things in the film that were going to have special effects to them. Has that changed? Is there more special effects now?
Oh no, there'll be plenty of special effects, but there's
Two big scenes.
yeah, there's two scenes that I installed one, and the other one was there always. But I want to bring it to the fans that are going to expect
Mhm.
some gore and some horror. This was originally just a thriller, with some cool stuff, and we brought in that. I spoke with the writer Daryl. I said, I want to do this, and he goes, it sounds great. He goes, I didn't know we could do that. I said, yeah. There's two big scenes in this that should be pretty cool. And
Yeah,
I'm
something
not
to
saying
talk
that
about.
I think that this is a lot different than than a lot of the other stuff. I mean, there's a cool story in it. It's really cool. It's different from what I've done in the past. Um, and getting it done, I was hoping to be with Damien. I'm still hoping he's going to be there with me. But if he can't, I'm sure he'll say, Phil, you got to do this, you got to do that. But um,
Right.
the effects in this movie is going to be cool. There's certain things that me and Damien talked about doing together on this. And if he's still up for it, great. If he's busy, I understand. But it's there for him. And no matter what, this is going to be cool. Like I said, these two scenes are going to be wild.
Well, I'm excited to see it because of Joe's War. You coming from that to getting these 3 Terrifier films under your belt, learning some stuff and learning a lot of stuff. Not just, not just being, you're not just a producer on this thing. You've got your hands. You've worked a million. There's a bunch of jobs you do not take credit for. I know that because I look at the credits of Terrifier and I'm like, I bet you Phil did a lot more than produce this damn thing and help with some special effects makeup. So when it comes to this film, I will be eager to see what you do now. Because at this point you've done all these things. I want to see what a the best way to say it, I want to see what a Phil Falcone film will look like.
So do I.
Yeah. Well, especially, the fact that it's the thriller horror thing that's going to be huge. Do you feel like now that you've got some features under your belt that things are getting easier to do, or are they just getting better?
I wouldn't say easier. I would say, because I'm always going to do. I always try to do better each time I go out.
Mhm.
Every time I do something, I try to do the best I can. Sometimes people might say, "Oh, that looks like shit." It's the best I had at that moment. I gave you my all. Whether it's good enough or not, I don't know, but I'll always give my best in everything I do. I don't, my father told me if you're not willing to sign your name to it, you shouldn't be doing
Mhm.
it.
I feel
So
the same way.
everything I do the best of my ability. Like one of my catchphrases that Damien loves is I say close is good. Because when push comes to shove at the end of the day, you do the best you can, and if it's not perfect, close is good. So
Mhm.
I'll stand by that, and I'll still say it's the best I could have done. It's nothing's ever perfect. It's
Yeah.
the best you could do. So close is good, and I'll stand by that. But I won't sign my name to something unless it's the best I could do.
Yeah. Well, I love that, and I think more people should feel like that. I know a lot of people just want to get a product out, and I know personally, we spent 6 months, working on a project, and I told the kids, I said, if we sit down and watch this, we're not proud, we're not putting this out, guys, because it's going to live forever. There ain't going back. I don't want you guys, and I don't want myself to be known by something that we're not proud of. And so that's a really awesome moment when you can sit down and you are proud of what you're going to put in front of people.
Mhm. Yeah, without a doubt. Listen, I've helped a couple of people out, and you know, just as a friend,
Mhm.
do it. And I won't mention any names. And they would say, like, hey, this guy walked out on me. The editor walked out on me. I can't do this. I said, send me what you got. I'll do the best I can. And I would do it. And looking at the footage and looking at the reel, and Phil, what do you want? Yeah, I'm going to put you there. I said, no. I did you a favor, please. Just,
Mhm.
who do I put down as an editor? I don't care. It's not me. Just do what you got to do. I appreciate it. I did what I could. Um, because he got screwed over too. And I said, listen, do what you got to do. I said, I just wanted you to be able to have something to put out there. I said, I can't be attached to it.
Mm. Wow, that's huge, man. That's huge. Stand-up guy. Not a lot of people out there like that, Phil. Um, I that's one of the biggest things is if you find people like that and the relationships that you guys have, I understand why you want to involve them in future projects and keep everybody tight. It makes a lot of sense. Especially in the film industry, because even though the film industry is a beautiful thing, it brings people a lot of joy. There is a lot of there's a lot of backstabbing, there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of filthy politics. You wouldn't even think there's politics in it, but there is. And you know, it's just like regular life, except whenever you are doing something of that magnitude, more people come to it. It's like being a social media creator. I draw more hate to myself because I'm easily accessible and I'm reaching more people, right? So you're kind of in that position now to where it's like anybody calls you, you really gotta watch your back more than ever, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of phonies out there. There's a lot of evil people, I would say. Maybe not evil, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that are only out for themselves. Like me, I'll never try to hurt somebody unless somebody really tries to hurt me or my family. I will always do the best I can. I will always give the best. I mean, I have people calling all the time, texting me, messaging me. I want to do this. I want to do that. Matter of fact, I'm trying to help somebody out now, setting them up with some distributors. Um, I'll do it. I don't ask for anything. I'll do the best I can. As a producer, I'm still the one that gets blamed for everything, and I'm fine with that. I got thick skin. I was on Wall Street. You could have got away with, you people would attack you at every second. I thought Wall Street was as bad as it could get, and there's good people, but there's also evil people. Same thing in the film industry. There's good people, and then there's bad people, and you try to I'm proud to say that the people we brought together are good people.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I'm glad that you found that team there and those people. I want to see uh there's so as a filmmaker and other people that are filmmakers and horror lovers that are going to come here and watch this, I want them to understand. I think they got a lot from this interview, and they'll continue to get more from the previous interview. But when I see people wearing Terrifier shirts out there, when I see people buying Terrifier products, I went to the mall the other day and I was surprised about how much Terrifier stuff was in. I think it was like a Spencer's or something like that. Or how does deals like that happen to where you guys are ending up in all these stores? People are selling your toys, and what's the relationship like? Because there might be somebody here that's dreaming, that like maybe one day they're going to see something of theirs on a wall or on a shelf. Um, and how does something like that happen, and what's it like?
Well, it begins with the film doing what the film did.
Mhm,
Because let's face it, if Terrifier would have been a one and done, or Terrifier 1 and 2 would have just been mediocre to the fans, none of this would have happened.
mhm,
Because it exploded and because the fans took to it, and I think it has a lot to do with how accessible Damien and Dave are, as well as the cast and crew. The rest of the cast and crew, they're good people. Like I said, we you could tell when they're talking, if they had fun, if they didn't have fun. You could tell from a person if they're you know just going through the motions or if they really mean it. I feel I can anyway. And the fans really took to Terrifier. When the fans took to Terrifier and Terrifier started to explode, let's face it, Terrifier, you didn't see much. Terrifier 2, you started seeing a lot of stuff coming out. What happens is the company will reach out and say, hey, I want to do a licensing deal.
mhm.
And you work out a deal. You do the best you can working out a deal, but they're pretty much set in their ways with what they're giving you. And you're glad to have it go into the stores, because the
Right.
more people see it, the more people, whether you're a fan or not, you say, "Wait, what's that? Let me take a peek at that." So you get fans from that. It's great publicity. It's great media attention. And when you see people walking on the street, like me and my wife will wear a Terrifier shirt or something out, and somebody will go, "Oh, I love that movie. That's pretty cool." And you stand there and you talk to them for 20 minutes now, and
Yeah.
it's cool for that to happen. But the way it happens is, if you don't do it yourself and make a site or something like that, basically, again, we didn't go out and ask anybody. I'm
Mhm.
sure there's a way to reach out to Spencer or Party City or Trick or Treat and say, listen, I'd like to get my stuff out there. But they came to us, and
Right.
that's because of the fans.
Yeah. Well, I figured they had to come to you guys, and I want people to always like pick up something from this, and like how this thing works. Like if you guys were, say you're, and I'm not saying this is one of your guys' situations, or maybe it could have been, or could be in the future, but if you guys are working on a film and you're just out of money that you're willing to spend, Maybe I call you up and I say, hey, dude, I heard you guys are at the end of the budget. Can I give you 50 grand? Does that bring me on as a producer? And what can somebody expect in a position like that? Is it just getting their names on the credits? Is it, hey, once all money's recouped and everything like that, you'll get a such and such type of um,
Well, for Terrifier, it was just me. Terrifier 2, it was pretty much me. But then we did an Indiegogo campaign.
mhm.
And the only thing I did wrong with the Indiegogo campaign is I didn't I didn't figure on what it was going to cost to make these things and whatnot. So a lot of the money and shipping, I didn't add shipping in the thing. So we had to pay
Ooh,
for shipping. We had to pay for the scripts cost us a lot more than we sold them for, but we needed that money at the time to make the production.
mhm,
So it worked out fine. And there were certain things that I did that were unconventional, to say the least. I put out there where, we would sell a half a point for X amount of dollars, or you could be in the movie for X amount of dollars. It depends on the deal. Like
mhm,
Blood Scent, right now I'm in pre-production for Blood Scent. I'm in the raising the money stage. I'm looking to do the film for about $1 million if I can. My minimum budget would be 650. That figuring it out, breaking it down, and seeing what I wanted to do. So right now, based on X amount of dollars, you get X amount of points, and that's as a investor.
mhm.
Now, there's other ways to get involved in film. There's a lot of Indiegogo campaigns for films. Um, I try and stay away from Indiegogo. We did it for Terrifier 2. This time we had what we did for Blood Scent. I may do it. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. It depends on how my raise goes. Trying to get it done. I just started actually, so I think I have about 125 already. So it's a slow go, but we'll see what happens. But that's good. If somebody really wants to get involved, like I get calls from a couple of guys I used to work with. Hey, how do I get involved? Send them a
Mhm.
package. This is what you do to get involved. And if they're interested, they're interested. Like I said, two people are interested, and they sent me what they want to do. So I said, cool. I do no pressure because I know how risky these things are. You could say now that with my track record, it's a little less risky, but I don't look at it that way. I look
Right.
at it as it's a risk. You got to be willing to take that risk. I'm a risk taker, so I'll put up money to try and make more. Um, you do your best. Like some people see these numbers come out from the theatrical and they say, wow, yeah, it don't always work like that. You do
Right.
okay. It's not, you don't get those numbers. There's so many hands in the pie.
How long would you anticipate a film like Blood Scent will take to film and before people might be able to see it?
Oh God.
And are you going for a theater release on it as well?
Yeah, you always hope for a theatrical release.
Okay.
And I think it's attainable. Like I said, the story is there. It depends on how it comes out, to be honest.
Mhm.
I could say I'm going to do the greatest job in the world. You don't know how it's going to come out until you
Yeah.
actually do it. I'm going to do my best to make it a theatrical release. If it doesn't, you have so many platforms you could go to. You could self-distribute. Today, self-distributing is not as hard as it used to be. It
Right.
was used to be non-existent, then it got hard to do. Today it's fairly easy. It's always better to have a distribution company that has
Mhm.
all the, basically they're taking a percentage to do all the work that you don't have to do anymore. You
Mhm.
just have to stay on top of it. Whereas if you self-distribute, you become another company. So
Mhm.
that takes you out of the creative end now, because now you're going to spend your time distributing a film where you could be writing or filming. So
Right.
I'd rather have a distributor. But if a distributor now says, "Well, I'm not going to give you the money. I'm just going to take it. I'll take X amount of percent." But then what do I need you for? Because that
Yeah.
means you don't believe in my project. So I've learned a lot in my what is it, 4 films now.
Mhm.
And each time I learn something new. It's tough to make a movie, so you should, at least if somebody's interested in distributing it for you, if the movie costs you 200 grand, maybe they got to give you 100 grand. They don't want to do that. So if they don't want to do that, self-distribute.
Hmm.
Because even if you only make 100 grand self-distributing, you got what you were going to get anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it is a ton of work. We shipped out all our DVDs ourselves, and we spent days at the post office some days just walking in there with 500, and they would look at us all crazy like, oh, they're back. And it was a lot of work, and shipping cost a lot of money. You think a DVD is not going to be that much, but when you're looking at a bunch of DVDs, I mean, dude, some of those trips cost 4 or 5 grand to the post office. I mean, and especially when you're talking about sending off to other countries, man, that's really
Trust me,
20,
I told
$25 to send a DVD to Australia.
trust me, I know. That's why I told you the Indiegogo was nice when we got it.
Right.
I did all the packing, I did all the shipping, I did all that, and I would go in there. Uh, I would go in there with, depending on the day, could be 50, could be 100, could be
Mm,
200 boxes. I would
mm,
load up my truck, bring it all down to the post office or the UPS store, and the amount of money I was like, oh my God. I said, I
yeah.
miscalculated so bad. I didn't think of this. And so many people, like you say, overseas
Mhm.
bought maybe a DVD, maybe a script. A script was insane cost to go overseas. I was like, oh my God. And I didn't think about the printing of the scripts. I was like, holy crap, this
Yeah.
is insane. And like I said, like you said, you'd go and spend 5,000. Well, think about sending all these things, and some of these things were heavy. We had
Right.
aesthetics that we sent. God, it was costly. Trust
Mhm.
me, it was costly. And I was like, whoop, I screwed up. And
Mhm.
Damien, what would you do? And I go, I didn't think about shipping, man. I didn't think about, printing. I didn't think about so many things, because when I did it, I was like, well, I wouldn't spend $20 for this. So I'd
Mhm.
mark it down to $10. But it
Mm.
costs, $8 to make, and then it costs $12 to send. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, that cost me.
Yeah. You're
It
paying
cost,
for people to have their perks at that point.
yeah. And I was like, oh my God. So it was tough. It was another learning experience. If you add shipping into the thing, you say this is the cost, but you got to pay for shipping. And this is what, and you could say, like, when somebody puts it in, they could figure out what the shipping is to that area for size and whatnot. But you can't just do it where you're paying for shipping. Otherwise, you're toast.
Yeah, you got to be very methodical, man. You got to calculate these costs, and they are there. And luckily, I didn't lose too much money on my. I did on the overseas. The overseas definitely hit me a little bit, and in the future now, at least, yeah, I learned from that mistake. But it still was really good for this guy that just had a hopes and dreams. Let me ask you a big, 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 ginormous. It's going to be huge. Um, will there be a Terrifier for it? And if there is, you're of course going to be, behind it, right?
Well, yeah, it's me. It's Damien and I own the franchise. So
Right.
unless we sell the franchise, it's
Mhm.
Damien and I all the way. Will there be a Terrifier 4? All the plans are yes.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
it it depends on if the fans do the outpouring that they have in the past. If they show up, there'll be a Terrifier 4. If they
There
don't show
will be a Terrifier 4. There
well,
will be a Terrifier 4. Okay, go ahead.
sounds good to
We
me, man.
had to have some clickbait here, Phil.
There you go. But there'll be a Terrifier 4.
And a
Hopefully a
5.
Terrifier 5. Listen, I have fun making them. So as long as it goes, and as long as I'm able to go with it, I will. Um,
Yeah.
like I said, I have fun. I want to get my hands dirty again. Um,
Mm.
I definitely want to be involved in that, no matter where it goes. That would be one of my prerequisites, would be not just doing back office stuff. As a matter of fact, that part of the job I'd love to give up.
Mhm.
Um, I will I will oversee it. I mean, we had good people this time, even in the back office. But again, this was new to me, so everything that came in had to come through me anyway. So I was overseeing this, and again, new to me, so it's just very stressful. But moving forward, I have to have more responsibility creatively. I want to be in that. I want to be in the thick of things.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you should, man. I mean, you do good work. Even I seen something. I don't know. It was a clip of Damien somewhere where he was like, he learned this stuff and he's actually really good. And when he said that, I'm looking at the clips and I'm like, he is really good. Like I knew what you were doing because I do that shit, and I'm like, he's fucking better than me. Damn it, like dude, and you just started doing it. Like listen, when you guys are making films that go this successful and it's your second film, that's huge. Some people will never reach that. I knew this. I talked to this guy more recently, the filmmaker. I won't name drop him, but he told me that he did 50 features in his lifetime, and 49 of them were a fail. And I was like, 49? Like, he was like, well, don't get me wrong. When I say a fail, we did make our money back on a lot of those. Like, we made our money back. But he said, until that number 50, he said, we never seen profits. He said it was almost like we were just able to keep doing our jobs, paying ourselves, paying our bills, which was fine, but we never were able to do anything beyond that. I was never able to do my own projects because I couldn't get away from the studio making a certain amount of money. Number 50, they spend $100,000 making, they make close to $5 million on it. And he's like, it's crazy that he did that many films, all these years of his life, and he finally hit a pocket to where it was like he's seen some kind of light at the end of the tunnel, where it's like, not that it wasn't fun making those 49 films. He said, if I didn't enjoy my job, I wouldn't do it. He's kind of like you and me, like, dude, I would, if somebody came to me today and was like, yo, we were going to do this thing, I'm like, enough said. Don't fucking talk about money. Are we going to have fun? Are we making something? Let's do it. So, I mean, to be your second film and have success, and then your third film, and we know the fourth film's going to do good. What's it going to do? We might not know, right? But I could guarantee you that people want to see Terrifier 4. They want to see 5. There is something there. I mean, do you think about that sometimes when you're just driving in the car, man? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, when it hits me when people reach out, and like I'm active on Facebook and learning Instagram, and like the other day somebody wrote, and I see you people get interactions with Damien and the guys from Terrifier. I never got an interaction. So this is the first time I saw this. I reached out. I said, well, you can't say that no more. How you doing? Hope everything's good. Blah, blah, blah. And somebody said, wow, you got filtered. And when you see people react like that, I'm like, holy cow. I went to a con and somebody came over and said, how much for your autograph? And I said, you want my autograph on there? And they said, yeah, of course. I said, oh, yeah, I'll do it. And I just signed. They said, how much? I said, no, don't worry about it. You want me to my name on there? Now what I do, though, I got to be honest, I charge $25, $30 for an autograph, but I donate the entire thing to the New Jersey Veterans Network.
Yeah.
I figured I see people signing for a lot of money, and I say, well, I'll sign and I'll donate the money to people that need it. And it's like a win-win. And from that, some people have taken it further, like Chris at Scarecrows. He did this thing where we had the crew sign it and he auctioned it off. So it's building. Somebody else painted this little Dee Nermy. She painted this artwork, and she came over and she goes like this. Oh, I'd like. So I signed it, and I said, she goes like this. That's yours. I said, thank you so much. I said, would you mind if I auction it off? So I auctioned that off, made money. She goes like this, well, here's yours now. So I said, oh, thanks. She made me another one. And I said, that's awesome. Thank you. So it's building, it's growing, and it's all for a good cause, because they come back and they say, I want to do this. Can we do this for the veterans? And the veteran group that I do, it's a smaller group, and it's automatic. I send them a check. They use it for veterans right there. And then they take care of veterans. And they send me pictures, like, took them out to the movies, and you see like 40 or 50 veterans with their families. they went to a movie theater. So I said, "Ah, that's so awesome. They pay for food. They do this thing." So I said, "You know what? I'll continue to do that as long as I can."
That's amazing, man. So from Joe's War, being about the vets to doing all these so many things. And anybody watching this, you can be involved and you should be involved. Well, we have the freedom we do, and we're able to even make movies and do fun things and take care of our families. Thanks to the vets, man. So
Yeah, well,
what?
when I did Joe's War, I met literally over 250 veterans with PTSD, and
Mhm,
we were on the red carpet, as a matter of fact, and I'm sitting there and I see this veteran walking away a little dejected. I said, "What's the matter?" And they said, "Oh, they don't want us on the red carpet." I said, "What?" They said, "Yeah, they don't want us on the red carpet. It's for the actors." I said, "Yeah, right." And I grabbed them
mhm,
and I walked over and I said, "Listen to me." I said, "The veterans come first." I
mhm,
don't care who's waiting. The veterans come first. So the veteran, a few of them went on, a few of them didn't. But I didn't even go into my premiere. I hung out with the veterans and sat with anyone that wanted to talk, and I got to know so many, and I met so many cool veterans, and you know, you hear their stories because they open up, and you go, "Wow." So when I was done with Joe's War, I always tried to be active with the veterans. And when I met Doc Shupp from New Jersey Veterans Network, um, we hit it off. And I asked him what they do with the money and everything. He told me, and I said, "Oh my God, this is incredible." And I started doing the whatever charity I could for them, and it's grown. It's really cool. Matter of fact, he's going to Comic-Con in I don't know where, and he asked me if I want. He said they have a table. I said, "Well, I'm going to get you some merch. Throw it on your table. Do what you got to do. I'll sign a few of them if you can, and see what you can do. Drum up your interest for the New Jersey Veterans Network. If you want to sell that merch, go ahead. It's all yours. Do what you got to do." So really cool people, really good guy. Puts a lot of time in with the veterans, and like I said, since Joe's War, that's
mhm.
been a big thing for me.
That's huge, man, and thank you for doing that, man. And we all need to do what we can if we can, of course. Um, what's it like, man? I'm sure a lot of people wonder this when and maybe we covered this in the last one, but I don't care. I'm gonna ask it again. I think people want to know. Um, when you have something successful, a movie like Terrifier in this franchise, how many people start calling you and wanting to have a piece of the pie? And do you notice, like, is there more people approaching you now around this the Terrifier 3, or was it immediately?
Um, since Terrifier 2, I get a lot of calls, not so much for a piece of the pie, but it's more people asking me to fund their movies. And I
Mm,
say, I don't fund other people's movies. It happened with me and Damien, but I'm not looking to fund movies. I'm looking, if I'm going to do a movie, I'd like to be funded.
mhm,
I don't take a salary when I make a movie. I don't look for a salary when I'm making a movie. I will do the best I can, and if the movie makes money, then I'll get paid. Um, but I don't like to. I don't want to dissuade anybody. I'll help them any way I can. If you want me to come on and help you on a set, yeah, great. If you're looking for money, that means that's all you want from me is money. I'm not. I'm not that guy.
yeah.
Uh, I did it my way,
Mhm,
and I think the best way for me to say it is, if you wanted my expertise at this point, and I use that term very loosely,
mhm,
expertise. I will do what I can to help uh, make your movie better. Like, I get calls sometimes about movies, and I say, listen, if I could help your movie, I'll help you. But if I cannot help your movie, it's the wrong fit. So let
mhm,
somebody, I'll see if anybody else that I know fits that genre better. Um, so it's things like that. The calls I get are more for, um, can I help them? And some people I
mhm.
can, and some people I can't. And if it's just for money, it's like a turnoff to me.
Yeah, I get it.
You're calling me for money, you're not calling. So basically, all you want is money. You
Right.
know, yeah, you say, well, you did this, you did that. I go, "Oh, that's cool." Um, if you're looking for a producer, if you're looking for an executive producer where I'm just putting money in, I'm not the guy.
Hmm. Are you getting calls? Have you gotten calls for people saying, "Hey, man, I want you to do special effects for this movie," because now that isn't that kind of that's crazy. I mean that can happen. Has it happened?
No, I know nobody's coming to me.
Ooh.
But like I said, a couple of people came over to me and said, "Can you do this?"
Uh-huh.
And it's usually when Damien's unavailable,
Yeah.
they'll come to me because it's a tight knit group. So it's like, I call it like the fractured pieces, like, branches. Like
Yeah.
somebody knows somebody from the crew and says, "Hey, I need this done. Can you get Damien to do it?" And Damien will be like, I'm fucking busy, man. Or he's in a con, and I'll say, "Sure, I could do it."
Mm.
But nobody's come to me and said, "Can you do my special effects?" I would
Are
love
are
that. I
you
probably couldn't handle it, but
okay? You'd love that. I was gonna say, are you open to that if the right opportunity approaches you?
yeah, you know what? I would love to do it just because I enjoy it. But
Yeah.
I don't, even though Damien says I'm really good at it, I would not think that I don't think I could handle doing all the special effects and running it, because like I said, I still need to
Mm.
call him and say, "What do I need to do this?" And he'll tell me what I need to do, and then it clicks again and say, "Oh yeah, okay, I remember."
How do you feel like you are at molding and casting? Or not so much molding, you're pretty much casting most of the time, right?
I'm molding and casting.
Yeah.
We do it. I haven't. I've only gotten one sculpt on film so far. That was a favor for somebody, and when I spoke to Dame, he goes, "That's tricky. This is going to be tough." So I did it anyway, and it came out okay. And they go, "Wow, Phil, it came out fantastic." They show me a clip. I said, "It's all right." You know,
Well, that's still cool. Hey, man, you did something that's okay. So that's something. So that's a possibility out there. But you're going to be doing stuff on Blood Scent,
oh yeah,
and you're probably going to have your hands deeper back into doing it on Terrifier 4 if that happens. Which is happening. Terrifier 4 is happening. Uh, so what else would you like to do? Are you going to do you see like films of your own beyond Blood Scent?
yes.
Do you want to keep in the vein and keep going?
I I have a film that I wrote a while ago, Paintball. I love it.
Remember you telling me about this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. It's really, I like the way it is. I don't think it's the right time for it though. Um, but that I would love to get done. I would also love to not only make a Western, but I would love to be in it.
Ooh.
I would definitely want to lose about 60 pounds before I did it. But I definitely, I grew up on Westerns. My favorite TV show growing up was Bonanza. So,
Oh my God. That is crazy. I remember being a kid sitting there watching Bonanza with my mom and dad for the little while he was around. And I was just always blown away. Like, I thought it was so freaking good. And then I'll mention it to people sometimes, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, it must have been something when I was a kid. But okay, I'm sorry. Continue. What about Lawless? Did you ever see Lawless?
I did. I also, but I'm more old school
Old school. Okay,
stuff.
I got you.
There's so many new ones that are cool too. I forgot shit. But my favorite westerns would be
Bonanza.
Magnificent Seven, The
Okay.
Unforgiven. Uh, cool westerns. Your spaghetti westerns, of course, all the Clint Eastwoods, John Wayne. I grew up
Mm,
with all that.
yeah.
So I would love to do a western. Um, and I would do it up in upstate New York
Mm-hmm.
if possible, because a friend of mine owns 400 acres. We have a lot of connections up there. I own 60 acres up there, and my land. It almost looks like a town where you have structures on both sides, but I would put facades up there. It would be a Western
Mm.
town. I have this all mapped out in my head, but just not happening just yet. But I would love to do a Western.
So would it possibly be a horror Western?
No, it would definitely have not horror, but it would be
There'd
more
be some
gory.
blood in the film, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it'd
go.
be
I
more
got
gory.
you.
Listen, since I've done Terrifier, even though I like when I write, I don't write for gore. I don't write, but
Right.
now knowing Damien and doing it, no matter what, I could do a love story. Somebody's losing their head or something. It's gonna happen.
Oh my god, I love it, dude. It is it's crazy. People want it, and even I get excited when I see something cool. You know what I do when I see these things happen in horror films? I've gotten to the point to where I laugh. Do you do that because you just exaggerated? But like, I know he didn't saw this girl upside down. Like, this is obviously a body double right here.
But I could tell you, the first time I saw a kill from Damien, I was like, there ain't that much blood in the body. He goes, don't worry, people love it. It's not real.
I
So
love that.
I'm I like I've grown to love the horror community.
Yeah.
Um, I think the first time I saw the horror community, I was like, wow, these guys are nuts. And they're still nuts, but they're intelligent nuts.
Yeah.
They're creative nuts. They're very knowledgeable nuts. So I wish I was one of these nuts. And I'm trying to be one. I'm getting there. I never saw horror movies other than the black and whites for the most part.
Mhm.
I don't consider Jaws or Omen horror films. Not these
Right.
anyway. But I'm starting to look at them now. I tell Damien, give me a list of movie. Give me a movie I can watch. So
Mm.
he sends them to me, and some of them I like, some of them are corny, and it's something I'm trying to learn more about.
The Blob is a great one. A
I love
great
Bob.
film. Blob was so great. Way before its time too. And I'm talking about the one done in the 80s too.
Queen.
I mean, the one in the
Oh,
50s was good, but that one in the 80s was great.
yeah, I'm more of, excuse me, the '50s guy, even though it was corny with Steve McQueen.
Well, here's the thing about, films and horror. You're not going to find a more loyal, nuttier, crazy fan base. It's not like you're seeing people go out there and get tattoos of these romantic comedies and things like maybe once in a while.
I'm
Okay.
not the romantic comedies. That's one
I'm
of
not the rom-coms are okay in my book. My girl, I know she probably come in here, but it's not like the horror. I mean, with horror, look, dude, people gotta have. I got my VHS horror here. I got the posters, but everybody is like this. When you're a horror fan, you feel like you've really got to live it and breathe it. And I mean, you guys obviously see it at the cons.
I don't know if
I
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I've never seen so many people with Terrifier tattoos on them. That is just mind blowing.
That's insane. I think I said this a few times. I used to go to this thing called the Hollywood Show.
Mhm.
It's in LA. And I would go there a couple of times because I knew a couple of people in LA from doing Joe's War. And the fans would come in, get their autograph, leave. Not much going on, not much. You talk to them, it's just about, just scratching the surface of a movie. When I went to the cons for horror cons, I realized the difference in the fans. The fan base is insane in horror, and I mean that in a great way.
Mhm.
Very knowledgeable. They could dissect a movie. They could tell you everything in the movie. They could stand there and talk to you for an hour.
Mhm.
Whereas, and nothing against the casual Hollywood fan, it's just that it was more superficial. It wasn't as deep. None of the conversations were as deep. Not only that, even the actors themselves, I think they were craving to get to talk to people more. There
Mhm.
were some that, because I would go and I'm not the guy to go over and go, oh, I watch. I'm the guy that would, and I would only go to somebody if I was brought to them from somebody that I knew. and I would shake their hand. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Just like that. Nothing,
Mhm.
nothing more than that. And some of them would open up and we would talk and we would hang out and talk, and it's good. And I think they wanted that more than even the fans did. Whereas in the horror community,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm telling you, I sit in the merge booth and people come over and I talk to them for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I have no problem with that. And we just talk. And sometimes I go, the line's building up. Somebody take care of that. You know, yeah, I'm not there for that. I'm there to meet the fans. I'm not there to sell merch. It's not not something I want to do. I
Mhm.
want to talk to the people. I want to meet who the fans are. And I think the that's what really took me just from the beginning, how different the fan base is and how cool as hell the horror community is.
Very, very, very loyal people, man. I love it. I live it. I don't know if there is a week that goes by that my family and I don't have horror night. And sometimes it's 3 or 4 nights a week. It's our one thing we love together. But whenever I see the fan bases and how they support for this, I occasionally will see somebody with a Western tattoo, especially John Wayne, right? I will see somebody with you know, a Terminator tattoo. It the horror field is just is crazy. I don't know how this happened with the whole tattoo thing. But now everybody's got their favorite characters on them. They've got all the toys. And that's another thing about the products that I was curious because now Terrifier products are out there and I'm like, well, shit, I gotta buy this, I gotta get that because you guys have VHS tapes. I'm a huge VHS tape fan. I haven't got Terrifier yet. I want to get it. But I prefer to watch things on tape because it gives it that film look truly, right? You're watching it on tape. Um, you guys are on VHS tapes. I don't know if that was like a limited special thing, but when I seen that, I said, holy shit, how are we in a they pulled VHS tapes, now they're coming back. Like
Yeah,
if
it was a limited run. Um, cool as hell.
yeah.
I'm from the VHS era, so yeah. Digital DVDs and all that stuff, a little different for me.
This is a rare one right here. Inseminoid. I won't tell you what it's about, but
I
I'll tell you what.
listen, I worked in that industry.
Uh,
Can I
yeah,
take a 2 second break?
yeah,
I
of
can.
course. Phil is a great guy, and it's funny because guys, when we talked before, I didn't know how much time we had, and I ended the chat. We said goodbye to people after our first interview, and him and I talked for about an hour and 5 minutes or something like that afterwards. And I was like, what a nice guy, because a lot of people in the industry, man, and I'm seeing it a lot right now. I'll do these interviews with people, and man, they're ready to be off, and that's fine, but it was just willing to film talk, and that's how you know people love this, man, when it's beyond the whole business thing. And I think that's really cool. I wish there was more people out there like that. I have met some cool filmmakers and producers lately. Um, and it's really cool when this channel here, the cool thing about it is not only am I a filmmaker, but I've done some stuff that where it's like I can approach conversations with people in this business, and we can talk about things that can help you guys, the people that are watching, and hopefully more filmmakers will see this, and supporters, and understand how it works and things they can implement in their own workings here. So that's really cool because I was just saying, Phil, there's not a lot of people that are so approachable and accessible, you know, and you've been more than kind and generous, not only to me, but I see you doing that just across the board.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I had to go powder my nose. I had to fix my makeup.
This kind of matter, not but anyway, so is there a Western possibly down the line?
Oh, I would
what
love that. I would love that.
what about Damien? I mean, I know we got the Terrifier thing, but do you think there's something else? And I don't know if you can disclose this or not. I don't know. Um, I've written him before. I've never got a response, but I get it. Those DMs are probably flooded. There's times where I get 20 messages and I can't answer them back. So I can't imagine. Uh, is there something that you think he wants to dive into beyond Terrifier?
Oh, I'm
I heard
sure.
I think I heard him mention Friday the 13th once. Like he said that would be cool, which is crazy because I've been saying they need a fresh take for a long ass time.
Yeah, Damien's got a. That's why I said, even though Blood Scent, we had spoken about it. I think after Terrifier 3, I have a feeling people will be knocking on his door at a much higher level. I believe it's going to get very enticing for him, which is great. Um, Damien, I'll always say it, real deal. He he knows what he wants. He's very, and when we butt heads, it's usually about, he wants this, and I tell him we can't afford that, and we'll come to some kind of an agreement. I always try and give him everything he can get. Um, Even if it means me like, hey, it's me and you, back to the drawing board. We'll do it ourselves.
Mhm.
And he's fine with that. We always come to an agreement. My first words are, "No, get the fuck out of here. We ain't doing that." But then I'll always sit it down and say, "How am I going to make this happen?"
Yeah.
But he's the real deal, and it's not just me saying it. He's got people talking to him, so I'm sure there'll be other things on Damien's plate. And God bless, he deserves it. Hopefully he'll say, "Phil, come on." But whatever he does is God bless, he deserves it. He's a very talented young man.
Yeah. Well, that I mean, that's awesome, and I do hope to see you guys involved doing a lot more stuff together because I think that and maybe I don't think I'm crazy. Fuck that. I was gonna say maybe I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not. I'll say that I think there's like one woman for every man, and I think there's like one partner for every partner out there, if that makes sense. Like I feel like people come together at the right time when they're supposed to. Everything happens for a reason, and when you have that, man, sometimes you can't recreate things, but I think for the most part, as long as those two forces, man, stick together, the world's endless. And the only reason it doesn't happen sometimes is because of things pulling them away, and that kind of sucks because um I don't know that that same magic can be emulated with anybody else.
Yeah, I don't know. I could tell you this, a story I say all the time, even to Damien, and I say it to my other partner that I had, other than my wife, of course, who's a big
Yeah.
part of this. But I had a partner on Wall Street for a few years, and his name is Richie Henriksen, Richie Gas. His badge was Gas. Um, he and I worked together for a couple of years, like I said. Never had to worry about each other's backs. Knew he was good. He knew I was good. Never had to worry about it. On Wall Street, you got to worry about a lot of things. With him, best partner I had ever had in a business. And it's not that it was our business. We worked for someone, but partners as we handled the deck together. Um, when I met Damien and we started working together, and it didn't happen overnight, but I knew the type of person he was, or I felt I knew the type of person he was. And
Mhm.
after a while, I told him, I said, I only had one other partner. I said, Richie Gas. I said, and you're the second partner that I can honestly say I don't have to worry about my back with you. And I hope you feel the same way. And I believe he does. So, as far as partners, like you say, it's very rare
Yeah.
to come across that. And I look at, I guess the best things I could say is like Martin and Lewis. Um, the thing that pulled them apart was ego.
Mhm.
As long as your ego stays in check, it's good.
Right.
It's good to feel good about yourself here and there, and it's good to feel like, wow, I did that. But you also got to remember that you didn't do it alone. You did it with a bunch of people. So as long as our egos stay in check, we should be okay.
Yeah.
It's like that with anything. Once somebody feels that they're more than the entire. And I'm not saying that he should stay with me or anything like that. I'm just saying he's got to keep his head straight and level. And if
Right.
he does that, he's going to write his own tickets all the way across. And he's a young man, so he'll have plenty of time to do that. Me, I'm having fun. I
Yeah.
My ego hasn't changed from. I'm going to say my attitude's changed since I'm 20, but my ego hasn't. I've always felt if you want to do something, you go out there and you do it. You do the best you can. Um, it doesn't always work out, but as
Yeah.
long as you take your failures and you try to learn from it, and you take your wins
Hmm.
and you do it the same way, learn from it and move on. You accomplish this, great. You're no hero.
Yeah.
You did good. You did what you set out to do.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I've seen it over and over. And the first time in my life when I actually had a lot of money come into play, when I didn't come from lived at the bottom truly, but when I first came into some successes, a lot of people would constantly tell me like, dude, you're the same dude. You're so, I'm like, yeah, like who the fuck am I? Cause I got a few extra bucks in the bank, or I'm able to actually make some of these dreams come true. Like, yeah, I handled it very well. Not that I was in on a big scale, but for the first time in my life, it was big scale for me because, I first time I ever made six figures from doing something I loved, I was like, well, shit, this is something to be proud of, but don't let it, change anything. And I've done a good job at it. And I've seen people around me though have that same kind of success, even on a smaller, smaller scale or bigger scale. And you don't know who they are no more.
And I trust me, I know that. But you
It's so
say,
sad.
that's one of the things. One of the most proud moments I have is, I have a tight family, but we came from a poor neighborhood,
Yeah.
and we were probably the poorest in that neighborhood. It
Wow.
was seven
Same
of
here.
us. Yeah, there was seven of us, and just getting food on the table had to be a chore for my dad. Um, we always ate. We didn't even know we were poor. We just we know later on, but if you keep that, my whole family is the same. We have the same mentality. It's not about the money. It's about your
Mhm.
lifestyle. It's about your life. It's about how you are with people. It's how you are with family. It's how you are with friends. And 30 years on Wall Street, I don't think there's a person that could say I screwed them over. And
Wow, man.
that's a tough thing to say. Um, and in the film business, it'll be the same way.
Mhm.
I'm I'm always. You may not like what I say. You may not like how I do it, but you know it in advance.
I love that.
Yeah, I'll do something like I'll say, this is what you're getting. This is it. This is how it goes. These are the hours. This is that. And take it or leave it. That's up to
Yeah.
you. I wish you're on board, but if you're not, I understand. And that's how I am. It's you'll never get bullshit from me. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you how it is, like it or not, and that's how it is. Now, whether that's good or bad, that's how I've always been. Never going to bullshit you. You're always going to get it. And that's why sometimes I even take more time discussing, because if I'm looking in their eyes and their eyes are going a little glazed, I'm like, wait, hold on. This is how it is, and explain it out, because
Yeah.
I don't want them coming back. Well, that ain't what we discussed. But yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard Fat Joe is saying in an interview more recently. He said, if I start talking to somebody and anything goes in a direction where I feel they're trying to be tricky with their questioning with me, you don't even get a chance to play me. We're done. And I think we've come to a point in life where we're calloused enough to where calloused in a good way, to where like, yeah, we can read people. Listen, I can only imagine being in a position of super success in the film world, where those days on Wall Street, life experiences, stuff our parents taught us, you have to have those in this industry, I would imagine, in order to not get screwed over, to get anything done.
Yeah, you also gotta be careful. You listen. When I was on Wall Street, you could have walked over to somebody and face to face, fuck you, you're a jerk, or you suck,
Mhm.
this and that, back and forth. You do that here. Oh.
Mhm.
It's so different. It's
Mhm.
it's my God, you hurt my feelings. Give me a fucking break.
Right.
So it's like I don't go for that. I want everybody. And again, for the most part, we have that. Sometimes I could be a little harsh. I try not to be, but I'm always going to give you my honest opinion, and we could talk it out. You could listen. I might be the producer, I may be, but I tell people, listen, if you got a problem with me, come and tell me. You can call me
Mhm.
an asshole. You can do whatever I want. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we'll discuss it. We'll try to come to an agreement. Whatever. I'm not hard to talk to. You
Yeah.
might not like what I say, but it's going to be an honest opinion. It's going to be my take. And if you don't like it, you got choices. You could stay, you could leave. I don't care how
Right.
valuable you are. I told Damien early on, everybody's replaceable, all of us.
Mhm.
Um, our first day of shooting, we had a kid on the set on Terrifier. First day of shooting, I said, this kid is very, very loose cannon. I said, we should get rid of him. We should fire him. So he went and told George, the DP, who's still with us, and he saved my life twice, by the way. He comes to, he goes to George, tells him Phil wants to fire this kid, and George goes, he's irreplaceable. So he comes back to me, he said, George has said he's irreplaceable. I said, fire George too. All
I'm
right.
glad you didn't fire George, right?
So am I. If I had a fired Judge, I'd be dead today. But that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's replaceable. I told Damien that day, I said, you're replaceable. I'm replaceable. Everybody's replaceable. Don't worry about it.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, in contract negotiations, they wanted me to take out an insurance policy on Damien in case anything happened to him. I said, why? Well, if he, God forbid, he dies before it's finished. I said, so we fucking replace him. And they were like, well, no. I said, well, then you take out the insurance. I don't give a shit. Take out an insurance policy. I'm not paying. If he dies, we replace him. Just like if I die, I get replaced.
It's the raw freaking truth, man. And that's good. I mean, dude, listen. After we talked before, sometimes I talk to people, and I rarely ever like reach out to them afterwards, unless it's just to say, hey man, I hope your production, if I know they got something going on, I'll say, hey, I hope your production's going good. But I reached out to you a few times because I liked you beyond our conversation. I was like, dude, he's just actually a really nice guy. But you did something that I don't think a lot of people would do. You were the first person that I showed the trailer to of my new movie, Mallet 2, and you actually took the time to not only watch it, but you gave me some advice. And I actually did take some of the advice and tightened it up, and people loved it, when it just came out. It was good. But that was huge, man. Not a lot of people would do that. I mean, you didn't need to do that. And it goes to show you that not only are there real people in the industry, but they're very approachable. And I never asked anybody else that, man. I just had a vibe. I was like, I feel like I could ask this guy.
Oh, cool. I'm glad. Listen, I told you before, when somebody reaches out, if I could help, I do. If I can't, I don't. I'll always just listen. Trust me. Damien sends me footage and I go, well, I would do this. I would do this. And he go, yeah, you're fucking crazy. Or he'd say, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And even when it's like, I look at it and I go, wow, that's really fucking good.
Yeah.
Then I'll go, but if you had to change something, I would do this. And he'll try it. And then he'll come back. Nah, it didn't work. I'm going to stick with that. That's fine. I'm just giving options.
What do you think time frame wise we're looking at to seeing a trailer for Terrifier 3? Ooh.
Again, going to be tough. We're still editing. Well,
Okay.
Damien's still editing. I would say sometime in July would probably be a good guess. You might see some little teasers here and there, but I'm sure there'll be some kind of media coming out along the way. But I would say around July, you'd start seeing things starting to pop up.
That'd be cool. I know a lot of people are waiting for that. It's probably going to be the most anticipated trailer of the year. I can tell you that, because even though this year has been a great year for horror, man, we have so many great horror films coming out this year. It's just, it's horribly awesome. But I will say that, this is going to be one of the most anticipated trailers. There's already people out there. I see this because I'm constantly paying attention to journalism that are talking about what it's going to be, and it's crazy. I've never seen anything like that before. So it's gonna boom.
Listen, your mouth to God's ears. We need it to boom.
Yeah.
I listen. I can't tell you, like, I feel lucky. I feel blessed. I'm happy. I've been pretty successful in my adult life, and listen, I've had a lot of failures along the way too. But you meet the right people, you do the right thing, you always try and be a good person, and sometimes it works out. And this time it did. And I want the ride to continue. Let's face it. It's fun. When it's not fun anymore, I won't do it. But I'm having a blast. Even though this one was a little rougher, I'm sure Terrifier 4 will be a lot better because, like I said, when you make that much of a drastic change,
Hmm.
there's a learning curve, and I think I've learned a lot from this curve, and I'm sure Terrifier 4 will be a lot more enjoyable. Not that it wasn't enjoyable, just very stressful this time.
Yeah.
Took away some of the enjoyment that I could have had. Getting my hands back in the dirt, so to speak, will help.
Hmm.
And again, go for it. I always say go for it, and that's what I do. I go for it, and hopefully, like I said, the ride will continue. I'm hoping the fans enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying it. Um, and like I said, that came from a person that wasn't such a horror fan, and I'm
Yeah.
enjoying this. And it's the creativeness, everything. It's Damien's really good, and I tell you, he's very, very particular on what he wants to see on the screen. And
Hmm.
I try and give him everything he could use to get it. And if I'm there to help with it, great.
And David, like, what's your and David's relationship been like? Have you guys, um, is it seem like he just at this point right now he just knows what to show up and do?
No, Damien still coaches him, but there's certain things. Dave's got it down,
Hmm.
but Damien still coaches him along the way. My relationship with Damien is we're friends. We get along well. Um, Good guy. You could have a blast with that kid when you're hanging out. But when we're on the set, it's more, we talk, we goof around, but it's more business. He's
Right.
especially like Terrifier 2, Terrifier 1. You talk more. Terrifier 3 was more crunch time. It was constant. It was a lot shorter period to film, a lot shorter period to deal with things. So when he was offset, he was in makeup or he was
Mhm.
getting touch-ups or getting ready for his next scene. So you don't want to take anybody out of character.
Right. True.
You leave them alone for the most part. That's what I do anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and again, this time I was constantly on the phone with SAG or dealing with SAG issues. So it took me out of the picture a lot.
How can somebody not deal with SAG? Would you say, like, obviously you're doing a non-union project, you would think that would be something you never have to worry about. Is the trick to it? Hey, let's make sure we don't make a certain amount of money from these films, and we'll keep them out of our ear. Or
I
is
don't know the answer to that. I think we had a target on our back. I don't know if it carries over to other productions. I really don't. That being said, uh, I guess getting on the page with them right at the beginning and being careful with your words on how you're doing things. It's weird. It was like they were attacking us for some reason. I don't know what the reason is. Um, it was rough. I got to tell you, everything we did was under a microscope, and it just shouldn't have been because we did everything we were supposed to do.
and see, what's puzzling to me about that is I've always been under the impression if you're using non-union actors that
Oh,
you're in the safe zone. But
you
that's
you couldn't use non-union actors in this one. The budget is where you had to use union actors.
oh, so that's where the okay.
Yeah, you were non-union as far as crew, but we were SAG. SAG, you have to have SAG actors.
So if there's a certain amount of money, then
Mhm.
immediately it's a SAG project.
Well, it doesn't have to be, but if you're using SAG actors and you're using a SAG
Ah,
signatory, hence Blood
yeah,
Scent being
yeah.
non-SAG. Um, And again, that's not set in stone. If me and SAG kiss and make up, so to speak, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and they start acting like they're protecting their people instead of just grabbing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you never know. But right now, I got such a bad taste from them that it's actually disheartening, because there's a lot of good talent out there that I would love to utilize, but they made it where it just got ridiculous, and it made it hard to make the movie.
Yeah. Well, that's sad. That's sad to hear, but I mean, at least now I think that some people that may watch this go down the rabbit hole, that they'll understand how it works, and if that's something you want to deal with, or you don't. I personally think I would always like to keep it non-union, and also I think there's so many people that if you're SAG, you're already kind of like getting established. I think there's so many people out there, so much good talent to be discovered. I like going that route, man. I like
I agree with that.
fresh.
I like that too, but I also do like the SAG talent. I've worked with some good actors. Um, Listen, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem following rules,
Mhm.
but when it starts getting overbearing and it's just like constant, it's like harassment. It's
Yeah.
got to stop. And I I mean, there was so many instances, but the one that struck me the most was we had a prop gun on set that can't fire or anything. It's a rubber gun, and we had an armorer that has done 4 or 5 SAG movies, and they came on set and they said, you can't use him. I said, why not? He's not accepted armor. I said, he's an armor. He's done about 4 movies. They said, where's his gun handling and everything? So we showed him. They said, oh, it's Pennsylvania. We don't accept that. So I said, what are you talking about? You don't accept it. He's a martial artist. He's weapons trained. He's this, he's that. They said, we don't accept it. You need an armorer. So we called a couple of major armorers from major motion pictures, and they said, that's ridiculous. They said, that's insane. I won't even come down to be an armorer for a rubber gun. It's a prop. Um, so I lost it. I went nuts on the rep that was there. I was like, this is bullshit. You're costing me thousands of dollars. You're
Mhm.
slowing down my production over this crap every day. Um, so he walked away, and he comes back about 15 minutes later. He goes, where's your prop guy? So your prop master. So I called this kid over. I said, Scott, come here. I had no idea what he was going to do. He goes, are you comfortable with doing this, handling this gun? And so he goes, yeah. So I said, hold on. I said, you're going to let this kid who doesn't know the ass end of a gun handle this rubber gun, where my or where my armorer that's done 4 movies, is weapons trained, can't do it? Yes. I said, do you realize how utterly fucking stupid that is?
Mhm.
Listen, I get to shoot my scene. I don't care. Goodbye. Walked away.
Right.
That that's the kind of shit we dealt with.
But a stone that you literally didn't need in your shoe. That's fucking ridiculous, man.
Oh, it delayed
Um,
the shoot. It delayed the shoot. It was
yeah,
insane.
which is it yeah, which like you said is a lot of money. I mean, you're paying for everybody to be there, and then you're the
Mhm.
whole I can't imagine. And that cost and so technically they caused more money to not be on the screen that could have been on the screen.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
really
they get paid anyway because they're not on the screen, and I still got to pay them when we got to go into overtime. So now none of this cost comes back to me, but I'll get fined. So it's just it's at one point I turned to them and I said, why don't you just tell me how much you want? I'll write you a check and leave me alone. And they said, oh, you can't say that. I said, well, that's what it feels like at this point.
right. Yeah. No, it does. Wow. I'll be damned. And see, I'd have never known that, man. I'd never known something like
And
that
again, I
could
don't know
happen.
why it was. I don't know why it was attacked at us. I don't know. I don't. At this point, I don't care. It just
Mhm.
pissed me off.
Yeah. Well, stay on here with me just for a second. First off, thank you so much, Phil, for being on the show here today. I really appreciate it again. And you know, if we're lucky, guys, maybe we'll get him again. I'd love to see what happens, you know, moving forward with your with a Phil Falcone film. I think that's going to be really, really awesome. And can't wait to see what Terrifier 3 does, man. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. Make sure your notifications are on here on the Scream Scene. We got a ton of content coming out, and we're talking with filmmakers, horror people, actors, people from the YouTube community, the paranormal, everything you want, skinwalkers, all kinds of crazy good stuff. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll see you guys in a few days, but until then, sweet nightmares.